Why, hello. You've caught me eating some cheese and crackers. There you go. All right. So I think we're just working again on gordon2d. That's what we're calling it, right? Gordon. I might need to change the name because Gordon's just 6 letters and it's a little bit too long to type every single time. But it works, right? Now, hello everybody. How's everyone doing, really? Because clearly you can't tell me, because clearly this is just, the people who are going to watch this is only watch this on the recording, especially like YouTube. But, enjoying this, it's, by the way, it's camembert, if you're very interested about the cheese. Camembert, yeah. So, next thing I need to do, post this on the Twitters, obviously. Right, so I'm just posting this all on the Twitter so people know it's even happening. Like so. And we're going to try a different cracker this time for the cheese. So while people get here, I can just eat more cheese. Right? Camembert. Oh, this one's a bit... I think the problem with this crackers is they've gone a bit... humid. Not the best thing. Good evening, good evening. Are you eating cheese as well? That's how you are. Sorry, I doubt that very much. Hello. Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the chat. Hello. Hello, farmer who doesn't want to farm. I mean, that's just what a farmer is, right? Right. I need to set up this server for this, don't I? So I'm just getting everything set up again, ready for the stream. Clearly, I'm being very, very, very impromptu. Surprised to see I'm actually ginger. I'm like, I mean, I can't really hide that I'm ginger. I mean, I'm balding, but that's a different. Like, it's just technically not balding. It's thinning because there's still hair here. It's just not very much. Probably just shave it off one day and just be done with it. But yes, I've still got a ginger beard. That's what you're asking. So when are you beginning your content reaction and hot takes arc for that sweet engagement? I don't think I'm going to do content reactions because the problem is I'm just not going to do them. That's what I'm going to say. I'd probably just get too ranty and that would not make very good content. Or it may make brilliant content, but not in a good way. Remember, I do live in the UK. So that's all I'm going to say. By the way, Ginger Bill as a nickname was something I get given at school. You can probably guess why. So there you go. So you're still watching a man eat cheese and crackers. Of course on a Wednesday night. On Odin's Day, of all places. So while people come trickle into the stream, then we'll get stuff onto the thing. Because clearly I've got the stuff ready, by the way. But yeah. Yeah, I had this... No, actually I had this beard only about 5 years ago I started growing it. Before that I was clean shaven. And as soon as I started growing the beard, so did the hair loss. It kind of migrated south. That was the problem. Yeah. Yeah, so Gordon's here. All right? Here's Gordon. Oh. Just to prove this is actually doing something, by the way. What do you mean it's not? Huh? POS 2, yeah. Because I'm not that clever. Let's try about every 3 times by 10. Right? That is not doing anything. Why is that? I don't know. So, watch a guy eat cheese, but as soon as he cracks up that code editor, half the viewers will leave. I'm like, sorry, carry on with the cheese if we want to. We can go full screen with this cheese. Look, I'm just eating camembert out of the paper directly because I am that kind of bloke. Let's go for a cheddar. Let's go for some cheddars, right? I am that. God, these are a bit... Oh, God, I need to get a new pack of bleeding crackers because these have just... How to put this? The atmosphere's got to them and it's never dry weather in the UK. Ever. England's always humid. Poison tonight is camembert, which is not poison. But otherwise, the other poison I'm thinking of, I'm not sure. Would you like the... we can do whiskey again, or we can go for my own ESB, which is an extra special bitter, which I brew. Bitter. That was a pour, very, very bad pour. Yes, I also have a keg right next to me because I brought it in just for the stream. It was kind of the idea. It's also not cleared. I didn't put any findings in this beer because it's just for myself. I'm not trying to sell it. So, there we go. Go back to the text editor if you want, because the man eating cheese stream is probably not the best entertainment value. Best way of putting it, right? So I'm trying to figure out why that acume. I don't want to just do. What am I doing wrong is the question. Because this should have been like pulsating a little bit. Or it should. That's not updating anything, is it? What the hell's going wrong? So many warnings. Index out of range. And many, many things. This is always a bad sign. I am working on a... I was originally working on a Flash alternative. Right, that was my idea. But then I'm thinking like Flash is actually the entire thing and it's a bit more work than you think. However, the more I'm thinking about it, the more if I do a like, you know, Lua has Love2d, right? Love2d is a lovely little game framework. It's the best way of putting that. It's not an engine, it's just a game framework. Why don't we have something like that for Odin that also compiles down to WASM, right? Why don't we have that? So that is what I'm developing. And I've called it Gordon because, again, Flash alternative, Flash Gordon, and also the clip that I did from last night, which was the Gordon's Alive in Brian Blessed's voice, which I'm not doing again. Yeah, it's LFG looking for Gordon, indeed. Oh, that's a good beer. Right. So I'm trying to figure out now. Okay, so that is working. So it wasn't refreshing correctly. This is what I was expecting it to do. Right? It's moving. Prove that it's actually moving in space. And we've got the current time thing. It's updating and we're doing it as we expect. should be fine. This extra draw call at the end we do not need, because it should be working. But yeah, this is the thing I was going to work on, was the different draw call stuff. So eventually, after we've done all the calls, we have to do the batching at the end, which means I have to sort those draw calls. Like, hey, we got these 2 draw calls which are identical and they have different ranges. Then maybe what we should do here is just rearrange them so they'd be the same draw call, but you just draw them all together. I mean, I'm not trying to sell this beer to people because clearly I'm only selling quote unquote locally. Again, good God, it's not even clear. It's in a keg. It's not got any findings in, and it tastes identical. It doesn't taste any different. It's not the point, but it's like, it's crystal clear when you buy it in a pub. Yes, for people who don't understand, I actually own a brewery. So yeah, that's a thing. Yeah, I'm a man of many things. Eccentric is one of them. So, carrying on with this, are you working on a WASM graphics library for Odin? It's not just graphics. I'll eventually have audio in there, physics. The idea is, okay, so for people who don't know, Love2d is a nice, they're calling it a game engine, but it's really a framework, right? It's a framework for making games with the lower programming language. And Love2d, there's like Balatro, there's Move or Die, some good games made with this thing, and it's a lovely little library if you like Lua. And in here, they've got the audio, they've got the data, the event system, the file system, the font system, the graphics, the imaging, the joystick, the keyboard. It is a full framework, and it does everything, even including physics, which we'll have because we have Box2D in Odin's vendor, which is fine. Yeah, the fact that Balatro is pure Love2d is crazy, and I mean, it is crazy, but at the same time, like, it's not really when you think it through, because it's like, what is Balatro other than just a 2D game with some shader effects, right? For people who don't know Balatro, I've actually never played it myself. I probably should play it. It's a card game. Look, it's a card game. But you got this lyric CRT effect on it, and yeah, it's doable. But if you can make a game with something like Love2d in this, then of course we could do something with Gordon2d, obviously, right? It's a cookie clicker of poker, and I'm like, yes, but it's not poker exactly, right? It's just figuring out like scores and such. Hey, you've seen my game, right? You've seen me play my... Oh God, have I actually got it somewhere already, like built? Can I just open another... Stream games... Right, we have the Face the Court thing, right? So we have Face the Court, which is this game that I did live on stream, as some of you may have noticed. But I cleaned it up and added different, like, all I did is added some polish and added different modes. Otherwise, the game was exactly the same. So this was the card game that I invented. And this is some rules I made up, and it worked. But hey-ho, it worked, right? So this game here, let's just do medium, right? Let's go medium mode. The idea is, say, reset the game. Just change the thing here until it works. Aces are worth 11. Everything else, effectively just deducting points of all of your things, right? There's a 3 there. I've got aces. This is awful. So take the 9. Take the 3. Jokers are worth 13, so they can kill anything. So we just do that. Not going to be doing well on this round, I don't think. 2, 9... 11's, we got 10, that's 14, so we do that. And I've won. So there we go. We won that on medium, not that difficult. Hard mode, it really is hard. I've got the full deck plus some extras for the court. It's a really simple game. You can figure out the rules I've just made up during that stream. It's unironically fun to play. Like, clearly you see what's coming next, so you can do some predictions, but that's all it. You can only see 3 cards ahead. Kill that. Sorry, what's that? 9 plus that's, yeah, let's just do that. Kill with the Joker. 11. 9, 8, 6, 11. 13. God, that's awful because we've got waste and ace. Ace. 9 to 2, 11 to ace. I'm just playing my own card game at this point. We should probably do the... If we can make something, right? This is made with Raylib, for people who don't know. So that is an 11. Fudge. Fudgy Nudgekins. We didn't get there. Right? But there's the game that I made live on stream. And clearly I'm trying to make a game framework now for this. We've got multiple different contexts. So it's clearly genericized to we need. So it should be fine. So someone's asking, whoa, Sublime Text, didn't know it still exists. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to make massive defense of Sublime Text. Why the hell wouldn't I use Sublime Text? Seriously. People say, well, what about, why don't you use Visual Studio Code? I'm like, why would I use a web browser to program in? Seriously, why a web browser? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like Sublime Text. I've been using it for the past 13 years now. I only just renewed the license like about a few weeks ago. Because I needed to renew it. Also, God, I need to get some more cheese. Right, let's go eat some more cheese. Oh, regarding the card game, I'm not really bothering anymore with it. But yeah, it's just more of a thing. All I'm going to say is I am as productive in Sublime Text than I am in like anyone else's any other text editor. That's all I'm going to say. Because you can see me program and you'll see, actually, yeah, he's pretty productive. Like me using quote-unquote Vim would not make me any better. Right. Let's work with this idea next. Right? I'm not even bothered with the draw calls yet. We've got the draw calls, we've got the offset and length. With the draw calls, we're not even bothering with elements in buffer. We're just doing direct GL draw calls. Again, text editor, I don't even care what people use. If you're good with it, keep with it, but it's just a Bleeman editor. All I'm saying is if you think an Electron app is a good idea, you shouldn't be watching this stream. That's all I'm going to say. Right? So, let's do that times by 30, right? We go a bit faster. And probably by 1, so it's now per hertz like that. But that should be... whatever. Right, so the thing was, we're going to add some more draw calls to this. So we had draw rect, draw quad. I was effectively basing the ideas off Raylib, wasn't I? And I have draw pixel. Now, draw pixel I'm not going to add because it's such a weird thing to add. Because it's effectively just a quad with width of 1. Draw line we could do, right? The problem with drawing a line, yeah, it's going to be annoying to get the anti-aliasing working correctly. So how are we going to do this? Oh, we got a raid. Thank you very much, TCap1, whoever TCap1 is. I may know you, just don't know your name. So we're carrying on with this. For people who don't know, the drink of the evening is my ESB at 5.5%. Yeah, it's cloudy because I didn't put findings in. And we're also eating camembert cheese. Camembert on the thing with some crackers. On it goes. So I'm just trying to think. We should probably add a line functionality next now, right? And that's how it's going to work. Yeah, sorry, for Ben who's, or B Business in the chat, he's talking about Orca. So, by the way, Orca is a great thing, by the way. And we do support this in Odin, and we're probably going to support it as well. This is WebAssembly apps without the web. This means you can download a WebAssembly app and it work on any platform. Right, this is kind of what many people were trying to aim for. And this is great. So this is what I'm going to be doing. And the thing is, gordon2d could work with that as well, but it's kind of more of a I'm just going to aim for the web. That's all I'm going to do. So camembert it goes. So it's camembert. So I'm an Englishman. How to say camembert, right? How you pronounce it? Ah. I don't know who people names are. Look, I don't do Twitch that often, to be honest with you. I'm more of one of those people who just eats cheese on a stream. Right. Drawing a line. So we're going to have to do start and end. Vector. We want the thickness and the color. Call that color. Each one of these is just going to ensure that there's a draw call. This. All right. The problem I've got here is we need to get the two-dimensional cross product, which is dead simple anyway, to get the not the cross product, the orthogonal value. We've got the dir, which is going to be that, right? And then we're going to have that as the dy. So that's going to be dx. dy is going to be vector of negative dx dot y, dx dot x, right? And we go to linalg.normalize 0. But the thing is, I'm doing the GLSL one, so is there a... No, let's just do this. For math linalg. We've got that now, right? So we've got the thing, and then we've got the width. The width is going to be in... We need to take the half width, obviously, to calculate those positions. So we've got the start position. So first off, when we're working with this, where am I working? Here. Gordon, draw line. I'm going to work from, I don't know, the 2020 point, right? To 100, 100. No, let's not do that. Let's go 100, 100, 200. The thickness is going to be like 4. And then I'm going to do it in bright orange, which is 1... Like that, right? Not going to be able to see anything because we're not adding anything yet. So that means we got the start. So that means we need to get some positions for our coordinates. That means the A coordinate is going to be... And then we can just pass this directly to draw rect, so we don't even have to deal with much. So A is going to be the start plus dy times the thickness times 0.5, right? The B is going to be the end. Yeah. C is going to be the end, but minus it. And then D is going to be the start, but minus it as well. Yeah, and I'm going to call this T, because we don't have to recompute it every single time, even though the compiler is probably smart enough. Right? We can then... we could do draw quad, sorry, not rect. So A, B, C, D. Oh, I'm an absolute silly person. They're for vertexes. So this isn't actually correct. So I still need to do this. Oh, great. Let's just do the full thing. Ensure there is a draw call. Right, let's do this. There you go. There's your draw line. And it works. Pretty much. Good on this. That is a very, very good answer to that question, right? A question? No, it's a statement. You're the cat pick guy on Twitter, aren't you? I cat pic? What? I don't own a cat. I would never own a cat, in fact. I don't get cats. You don't even need to feed them. They'll feed themselves. As my family friend would say that. Oh. Right. So we've got lines, and it does look like it's 4 pixels. Ish. That's such a tiny little canvas. That's what she said. However, we could probably make this a little bit bigger for the stream at least. So let's go 800 by 600. There we go. So we've now got 2 little ones. We've got the little canvas below and the big one thing. We don't need to have both canvases because we know at least it works. So I can comment this one out. At least we now know that multiple canvases work. So we got this little canvas is now in pixel coordinates and it's doing the thing that I expect. Let's go back to Rayliv, see what else they're doing. They've got a line strip, which is in multiple positions. This is the thing, is the line strip doesn't actually state what the thickness is. That's really weird to me. Right? Why would you have a line strip that doesn't even specify the thickness? Because... Well, this is why sometimes I get annoyed with like Rayliv, because it's like weird. You always just assume pixel widths, which is not what I want, right? Sorry, I didn't realize they're replying. It's hard to know when you've got Radar from TCAP1. I'm sorry, I don't know who TCAP1 is. Maybe I do. I just don't know the name. I've got some cheese left, but I've also got a wonderful Belgian chocolate ganache, right? Last night we had a lemon posset, right? That's what it was, lemon posset. Now I've got a chocolate ganache. So clearly you're see me eat my dinner whilst I'm streaming. Which is clearly weird. Someone's probably got some weird fetish for that, right? I will shame them. Don't worry. So there we go. Some ganache. That is it's okay. It's okay. Pretty good. Right. Pretty good. Right. So. Bit late for dinner. I'm pretending I'm Portuguese. It'd be fine. Right? It's been warm today for saying it's September. And also, it's in this room. Depending on if you want Fahrenheit or Celsius, it's what? 73 Fahrenheit or 23 Celsius. Right. So it's warm enough in here. So who cares? It feels like it's a foreign country to me, saying I'm English. Oh, good God. Server-side rendering. Hell no, please, let's not go there. Also, for especially something that's meant to be a game, needs to be client-side. Right? Has to be client-side. Right, so I'm just thinking through. We've got a line. Ignore the line strip for the time being, because the problem with line strips, you want them to be a little bit more... You'll want some kind of like... Oh, what's the word? What's the word where we got the lines and you want to have the bevels on them, right? There's a word terms and bevels. Stadium mentioned cloud gaming. I'm like, okay, I've had this. Okay, so this is a bit of a tangent. Clearly, this is one of these streams, right? Because I'm just going on tangents for like, it's entertainment, right? This is all it is. It's entertainment. How do I put this? I've had an extension on my web browsers for the past decade where I'm trying to think of a way of framing this. I've had cloud to but as my extension. So anytime it sees the word cloud or the cloud, it will change the cloud to but or the cloud to my but. I've had this on for probably a decade now. Every time I always forget it because it's one of those which it happens, but when it happens, you forget it's even on there and you just laugh. So I once had this when I was working for a company, and I was doing like let's say this was a web company I was working for, right? And in one of the meetings I was having, showing to some of more of my uppers, superiors, uppers, whatever you want to call them, they were, trying to think, didn't even notice, but I had it on. But one of my colleagues saw it and he went, Bill, and I went, shall we just keep rolling, okay? Just keep rolling with it. And I got away with it. It was absolutely fine. But again, it gave me a good humorous laugh. Again, for the past decade, it's been one of those hilarious extensions. It's a classic. If it's lasted this long and it still makes me laugh, it must be great, right? Because I actually hate the cloud because it's literally just someone else's computer. The amount of times I've had people ring me up or email me or whatever trying to sell me on the cloud. And I'm like, great, I have my own servers. Physical servers right there. Like, there. And they go, but we have the cloud. I'm like, yeah, but I have my own. And the people who are selling it clearly aren't that technical and they don't really understand it. So it's very much a, yeah, that's it. But, oh, there we go. All right, I'm just changing the title of the stream for live drunk programming with cheese and crackers. Hello, I'm Chrome. Hello. Yes. Oh. But. Sorry, I just eating too much cheese. Miters. That's the word I was looking for. Miters. I know how to do miters, just not bothering with them yet. We've got circles. Should we do a circle next? Let's have a green circle, I think. Yeah, green. Okay, so we're doing that. We've got that. Wonderful. Context. Just doing this as we do, obviously. So when we get to the circle, we need to figure out also the segments as well, which is kind of a... Again, another thing that Raylib doesn't tell you. It's kind of weird. Right? Bit weird. So I'm going to put 16 there, right? And put segments. Let's say 32 by default. So that means we have to have the center. So when we're going to do a circle, we're going to have to do triangles from the center. So we know what the center position is, which isn't really a problem. We're going to just have to do a default vertex for all of the stuff that we've done. Like that. So pos equals, let's say, center. So let's call that C for center, right? The color is going to be the color. So col. And the UV is just going to be whatever. That's all what we really care about. So when we're going around, we add all of them. So yeah, I think I do this. So we're going to just go to import math. So we now need to do the number of segments. So that's one. Yeah, that'll work. The segments should be an int, for goodness sake. Why are we not doing it uint? There we go. Segments. Or just int, be fine. So we've got the segments, and that means we then need to add some vertices, and effectively we need to add 3 of them. So we now have to do T0 and T1. So the segment is going to be... How do I put this? It's going to be float of I, yeah, divided by the math of tau. T1 is going to be +1 to that, so that's +0, yeah. And then we've got the T parameters, and then we've got the positions here. So that center's not even correct because it needs to be... You need to get the current depth as well, right? Yeah, so we've now got center. So the first one is always going to be the center. But then the rest is going to be, let's call that A, and let's call that B. So let's just copy for C and B. The position on that is going to be the radius. It's going to be the radius times by like the math of the... Oh god, that's going to be annoying. So X, is it the cosine? It doesn't really matter because the problem is which order I'm doing is not going to make that much of a difference. And in fact, I've just realized math.tau, that's what I wanted, right? Like so. So that is A, and then B is going to be T1. And I've got a circle, and that's got 16 on it. By default, it's going to be 32. So if we get rid of that, it's now a nice little circle. Perfect. You're using the correct circle constant. I am officially sold on Odin. Correct. Just use tau. Otherwise, some people use eta, which is even insaner in my opinion. That's a quarter turn. Why? I don't know why they do this, because they're just crazy. Yes, officially crazy. I'm going from chocolate and cheese. Chocolate to cheese and chocolate. There you go. Good combination, actually, to be honest with you. You've got a kind of strong dark chocolate contrasting with the camembert. It's kind of a nice combination. But yeah. Why would you use eta? Well, because you're weird. That's the real answer, right? You'd use something because you're weird. Someone's saying, I need your drunk wisdom. How do you make a video game more fun without knowing anything about it? That is the most vaguest question I have ever been asked, but I can answer it. Don't worry about it. The answer is, you add more fun to it. Of course. Add more fun. I hope that answers your question. So we've done circle. Circle sector. You know what? Before I do any more, let's look at Love 2D. Because Love 2D... Oh god, what am I doing? Love 2D. We can look at what it does. Because many people love that framework. Not a coincidence that it's called that, right? Right? They've got circle, they've got arc, they've got draw, which is just a general object kind of thing, which I'm not going to do, to be honest with you. I don't want to go full on OOP. Just keep things simple. They've got points, which is a bit weird. Again, the pixel point thing doesn't make any sense to me. Because it's very much like, why would you ever want to just draw a damn point? It's a quad at the end of the day. Just draw the quad. Right? Yeah. No, it was very good ganache. Chocolate ganache. Very good. Oh. So we've got circles. We've got a lot in here. We've even got rings. Rings are, yeah, that's something we could generate. I'm just trying to think which ones we need to do next. We've got circle. We need to have an ellipse. But the problem with an ellipse, right, is it's going to be axis bound. Not have any rotation to it, which is where things get a little bit annoying. Like the major and the minor axis to go on. And also one thing with Love 2D is also pushes colors, but I don't want to do push color. I want to have each thing to have its own color because I don't like the push and the pop kind of mentality of things, if that makes any sense. So we've got the circle. Let's call ellipse. Ellipse, is that how you spell it? Yes, it is. Then we have radii, which is going to be vector 2. So when we come to the radius here, we have radii.x, radii.y. In fact, we could have just like simplified this code and just gone, hey, drawing circle is the same. And guess what? I've just written it. Wasn't that amazing? So if we do a draw ellipse, right, that's going to work fine. But what I'm going to do here is just to prevent issues, I'm going to put no broadcast. So it doesn't do the broadcasting on there. So you have to be really kind of careful what you're doing. So actually, no, let's just do 60. Let's make it really like, what the hell have I just written? That's not correct. What I wanted was XY, XY. That was a nice little star I made. That's what I meant. I just drew a sun. I know what I did wrong, but clearly I wasn't thinking it through. So yeah, that's fine. We've got that. Draw ring. So when you're drawing a ring, you're effectively having to do quads every single time. So you're going to have to do for every single segment. It can't be a triangle. It's not a sector anymore. It's a quad thing, right? So if we do the draw ring, so we have an inner and an outer radius. So we have inner radius and outer radius. It has like start angle. Oh my goodness. It has loads to it. It has start angle, end angle. Yeah, let's not do that ring yet because I don't think that's the most like productive use of my time. Like even Love 2D doesn't have many, right? It has an arc, right? We have the radius, we have the angles, we have the segments. So the angle is going to be where it starts. And it has a default value of 10 for that, which is interesting. So if we draw an arc, right? Let's do an arc. So we have the center. We have the radius. We have angle start, angle end. Right? And those angles are going to be in radians. I don't want to deal with... Right, I hate libraries like Rayleigh, we should just use radians. Did they use radians or they use angle? I can't remember if they use radians or they use degrees. I just want to use radians everywhere if I can. Make sense? Annulus. I'm not writing the word annulus, okay? You can probably figure out why. And if you can't, I won't say any more. Okay? So we've got the C thing, which is the center, but the thing is now I've got to have it's a quad of some sorts, right? So right, so I'm doing radians rather than turns. I agree with KC Muratori that mathematically speaking, turns are more things. That's the reason why I use tau, by the way, because I actually conceptualize turns for angles rather than like radians or degrees or anything. To me, a turn is much more natural to think of, which is why I use a tau as the unit constant, right? It makes more sense to me. Like, I understand the point of degrees, and degrees do have loads of, like, sense to them, but they're just, like, weird. Like they just are, right? Right? So I need 4 coordinates. So I need the C. Oh god, C is the center. So let's call this C0, right? No, let's call it P. Right? Because everyone likes a P when they've got a full bladder. So thinking this through, you're going to have A, B, and C. And we could just do that like that, to be honest with you. You can do multiple things. Then we have C, D, A. That's C, A, B. Can't be asked. Oh no, that's CBA actually. Obviously, it is close enough, right? This is not going to work correctly. So I have to think through. This is going to have an arc to it. I'm thinking about the ring. This is what I'm actually thinking of. So shit, I'm thinking about rings. So we have inner radius, outer radius. Let's do the ring, shall we? We've got the angle start and the angle end. And then the segments. So this has to be interpolated. It's a lerp now at this point, isn't it? Math.lerp angles end. Right? Okay, there's the ring. CDA, I meant, yeah, you're right. Yes, the Sublime Text theme that I'm using is one of the Dale Rees one. It's the Fresh Cut Contrast. Okay, if that makes sense. Okay, if that makes any sense. So I've done that correctly. So now I need to figure out the different things. So we have the outer radius for A. I'm doing A and B as the outer ones. Right? And then C, C, D. No, I have to be very careful here. So that's 1, 1. That's 0, 0. Those are all going to be the inner radius. Okay, so I know that's going to compile because there's nothing really wrong with it. Main. Let's go to the main. Let's look for a ring. And that's going to be a different color this time. We're going to go for, I know, yellow. Right? So we've got a ring. Let's do that as a circle. Yeah. So it says 40. Then we have an inner radius of 30 and 40. No, say 40 and 50. And then we're going to go from, we're not going to do the whole circle. So we're going to do 0 to, that is the whole circle, obviously. But let's just go for like 3/10 of it. Right? So we're starting from 0 and then we're going to that angle there. So this is where things get a little bit like weird. Where do you actually start the 0? Because it's, to me, and this is maybe I'm wrong, right? What is the initial angle? And that may sound like a very weird question to ask. In these coordinate systems, where's, like, if you had, this is clearly 0, 0. Like, that would be natural to me. And this is like y goes down, so that's going to kind of the case. But do people think of like, hey, the top is the 0 point, and then you go round the top? Does that make sense, right? Right? Someone's asking, is it this theme? It's the, no, it's Fresh Cut is what you're looking for. Fresh Cut Contrast by Dale Ree. I've been using this for like 8 years now. If you look for the Fresh Cut Contrast, it's this one. That's what I use. If you can see it a bit bigger. That's it. The one I use is what I've been using for quite a while now. I used to make my own, and then eventually I just settle on this. And be honest with you, I found this to be like the nicest, and I've not found anything better. Yeah, this is the thing. Is 0 degrees me on the right, and then clearly because it's Y down, so you can have a clockwise thing. So it's a left-handed coordinate system at that point. All right, left-handed. That's for me, or for you guys. Yeah, this is the gang signal we have to do when you do left-handed, and then right-handed gang signals. Yeah. But when we've done all that, it's more of figuring out what we need to do. So that's 3. So if we go to 90%, it does most of it. Isn't it funny that I'm getting this right the first time, to a certain extent? There's no anti-aliasing yet, but I might just bother with a, what's it called? Do a shader later to do this one. We do like render targets and such. We've got ring. Now we can do the arc. And this thing is, that is the arc. The ring is the arc because it sets the thickness. So we could do, if we do an arc, right? Like that. We have a radius. We have a thickness. And all that's going to do is the same as a ring, but it defines what it needs to be. So we have the center. We have the radius plus the thickness times a half. And minus a half. Angle start, angle end, color, segments. There we go. We've now got an arc. Oops, sorry, col. There we go. Use assembler. Now we could, but I'm using Odin, obviously. That's the point. I'm trying to use full Odin. We could use assembly language. There's no reason why we couldn't. But the question is, which assembler do we use? I would normally go for NASM myself, but yeah, that's up to you after that point. We could do multi-sampling afterwards. I can't be bothered. Okay. Zero cost abstractions. There's no such thing, man. You shouldn't be here if you're talking about zero cost abstractions. You're in the wrong thing. I'll be quoting to you like the laws of thermodynamics at this point if you're going to go there. Right, so we've got rectangle. We've got rectangle pro. Oh, wow, rectangle pro. Oh, yeah, we've got rect here. We've got quad, but we don't have rotation for that rectangle now, do we? Oh. I mean, I do. Okay, so I'll put it bluntly. The word pro always makes me laugh because it's like, it's kind of what I want most of the time. It's not really professional. It's just how you meant to do things. Like, how else are you going to do it, really, at the end of the day, right? Really, man, come on, really. Sorry, if you can see me looking down this way, it's because that's where the chat is, while the camera's right here. I've got quite big screens. These are 32-inch monitors I'm looking at, and I've got 2 of them. So, yeah, quite a distance I have to look every single time. Oh, that's a nice beer, but it's just 5.5% strong. And if anyone says I should go for the whiskey, I mean, technically you'd be drinking less alcohol because it's less quantity amount. I'm not going for the same thing. But yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. What cheese? It was camembert. We've still got the slightest left, and Oh, you beggar. It's starting to melt in this room because it is 73 Fahrenheit. Look at that. It's starting to melt. That is properly a proper melty. Oh, God, I can't even see it on that tiny thing. How is anyone going to see it? A melting camembert on the paper. Yeah. It's falling off. Yeah, it's melting. It's that warm. Look. Cheese is life food. Any vegans on here, please go away, because cheese. Well, every vegan friend or colleague I've ever had, I've said the only thing they've ever actually missed was cheese. And I'm like, yeah, because you can't substitute lactose. Lactose has a flavor to it. The sugar in cheese, by the way, the milk, which you can't imitate because it has to be produced by an animal most of the time. You could probably do it to synthesize it, but not easily, because lactose is there's lactose and galactose, right? I'm not getting my not buckyballs. They're like I've got the modeling tools when I'm teaching myself organic chemistry, obviously. As you do, obviously. Just teach yourself organic chemistry as a thing. And I can show you the difference between like lactose, glucose, galactose, maltose, all that sort of stuff, right? And they're like slightly different, obviously, and some of them like is lactose. I think is two of them together, right? It's kind of like you got two different sugar molecules joined together, which is why some people can't digest it. Is that what I'm thinking, or is it galactose? I might be mixing them two up. Yeah, lactose is the doubled one. No, I'm not mixing it with lactose. So lactose is when you've got those two chemicals. Yeah, so this is the thing here. This thing, see, you've got two of them together. So this has got quite a lot of the oxyl groups on them because lactose, while galactose, which is another type of sugar, is just one of them. So if you look at the two of them there, they're not like 1, 2 down. It's got 2 up, down, 2 up. That's got down there. So it's not exactly the same. But effectively, you've got a galactose plus a glucose joined together. Sorry, you didn't realize you were going to learn organic chemistry this evening, did you? I hope you're enjoying this. Organic chemistry. Cheers to cheese. But yeah. Drunk chemistry. I'm not even drunk yet, but that's not the point. Job fair. I mean, unfortunately, it is the wrong job fair. It sounds like I'm here at a farmer's convention more than anything with the cheese. Sorry. Cheese and crackers is one very good meal, is all I'm going to say. Ooh, it's gone in my beard. Ooh. But, right, you've had your chemistry lesson. Unless you want any more chemistry. Cheese fair, sure. Right, so we've got all that. We've one Rectangle Pro. But the problem is these are all like non-textured things. So when we draw texture, we're thinking in terms of their sprites, right? That's a sprite. So if I draw the Pro version, like I don't see a Draw Rectangle Pro makes more sense to me. I do think we should probably have like the outlines of a rectangle. So it has like, we've done a rectangle here. So we could probably do a Draw Rectangle, like let's call it lines rather than outlines, right? And then thickness F32. So the problem with this is we need to kind of deal with 4 different types of positions. So we're going to have to think this through logically as to how we're going to deal with this. That's fine. Right, I've got some more beer. Let's get some more from my 1 gallon, Imperial gallon, obviously. ESB. It's clearly, that's why it's cloudy. Increase the pressure to about 8 psi. Should be enough. God, that's the worst. I'm doing it so high. Look, I can brew beer. I can't pour it. Just that's a different skill. I know it's warm as well. Warm beer is not always the worst thing in the world, but it's warm. It's fine. It's mostly liquid. It's what? 94.5% water. Yeah, this is all WASM. And we've got Gordon, as I was doing last night, which I made a clip of it, by the way, which is the Gordon's alive! Oh, Grumpy Rabbit's taping now. Because Brian Blessed also did Grumpy Rabbit in Peppa Pig. The problem with Brian Blessed is I really do want to swear. I want to say, like, I could do it because it is past the watershed. And hopefully people are 18 plus when it comes to this stream, because I do swear it from time to time. So I could just do the full-on Brian Blessed impression. I mean, how old is Brian Blessed now? Like 85, though? Brian Blessed. He is 87. I mean, he's still a man. He is still the man. Can't go wrong with that. He's the voice of Clayton and the Tarzan yell in the Disney's Tarzan. I'm like, of course, with a voice that's that vibrant. Or reverberant, I should say. Indeed. Right, let's do the lines of a rectangle, the outlines. We could call it outlines rather than outlines, but... Now, okay, so here's a question. When we do lines on... Like, for instance, I've done the ring. Oh, sorry, say not the ring here. The arc. I've done it on where you've set the radius and then it's just doing the thickness around the radius, because I'm saying it's in the center is what people intuitively want. Same with the rect lines, but it might be you want it on the outside rather than it. I don't know. Yeah, like, yeah, it's pretty good. Tarzan is great, but it's one of those. But it's one of those where trying to think how to do it. But it's good. It's the deep voice, the very up and downness, plus that Yorkshire accent on top. It does help. You should do it, yeah. Right, let's do the lines. So we should be able to have a multiple different things going on. Inside, I don't like. Okay, so for people who don't know what I'm trying to think about, let's go to Milton. Clearly, I was explaining something about line rendering the other. Right, let's get the graphics tablet out. So when I'm talking about line rendering, right, we got a quad. So here's a rectangle, not a quad. When I'm saying the outline, the question is, should the outline, imagine that's the line, there is three options we can choose. We have the line that goes over it like that. Yeah? We have, oops, that's not the right line. Is it that one? Yeah, we've got the line and then the line back to the red. We have outside, and then we have inside for that. So these are the options. So people in the chat right now, should we vote for A, B, or C? Sorry, now I'm sounding like, sorry, clearly I can do impressions, but that's not the point. This is called Milton, by the way, yeah. So there's the A option, or the B option, or the C option. Now, which option makes more sense? And when I say inside, outside, imagine that is the rest of the quad, right? Like that. Which one makes more sense? Because to me, C, people are saying C in the chat right now. And C doesn't make much sense to me at all. Like, to me, it's either A or B, not C. Why would you want not, this is an outline that goes inwards. That makes no sense to me. Unless you have like a negative thickness, then maybe. But like to me, a thickness just is adding on the end outside of it, not going inwards. So I'm going to just ignore everyone who's saying C because I'm saying you're just categorically wrong. Some people are saying B, some saying A. Well, to be serious, A maybe. You can't let the you can't let the user choose. Too much choice. Choice is not always a good thing. This is the point. When you have freedom, liberty, choice, whatever you want to call this kind of thing, it's not always a good thing. You should always just have one because then at least everyone knows what that one thing is, right? Because when you should be choosing between A and also choosing between B, then it should be fine. This is the point. Is this for the... Imagine you're drawing a rectangle like this, right? This is the perfectly drawn rectangle. These are very straight lines. Very straight. Look, I'm going to make them so straight. I'm writing to say these are actually right angles. And anyone who tells me they're not right angles, you drank more than I have. Okay? That's all I'm saying. So we have... This is not a real poll? Poll? How do you say that word? We could probably just ask and it would work, but I'm gonna probably do A just for the time being, right? Everyone is saying C. I think C is just wrong, right? That just seems really bad to me. Well, I think we're gonna A because that was my original gut feeling, even if it's probably wrong. Let's go with A. A was the decision on tonight's... No, we're not doing that voice. Right. Tonight's TV show. Right, let's do A. So, we've got the thickness. This means we've now got the positions. So, we need to have... There's multiple different positions we need to deal with. So, we need to have, let's say, like A0 is going to be like pos. And... In fact, we could just draw the rectangle... Let's just draw this correctly, right? So we draw one rectangle for this thing, and it's going to start from that position. But we're going to minus the thickness, right? Minus the thickness 0. Going from that, and also you want probably, in fact, we just go from that to that, and then it's just going to be the size.x not 0 plus the thickness. Yeah? Then we're going to have the same problem, but the thickness is not correct because we want the half thickness, right? Because we're going to double up otherwise. Okay, so the next one is you want to start again, but it's going to be plus size dot y. And that's going to be size dot y. Yeah, so we want to draw... we'll call it rect lines. So we want a rectangle, and we're going to start from, let's say, like, I don't know, 400 by 200. And we're going to go, and we'll just go, let's not go full black. Let's go like 255, 25, 25, 25. Let's go to that, and then the size of that rectangle is going to be like 300 by 200, and the thickness is going to be 10, right? It's now telling me off of not doing things correctly. I haven't specified the color. That is absolutely correct. That is not the right thing. Yeah, that looks wrong. Like, quite wrong. Because I've added the position when I didn't need to add the position. Okay, that's one. So I'm thinking of it in like min and max mode at that point, which is not what I wanted. Let's do that as well. Okay, so that's one. They're the two lines. And then we can just do the same again. do the rest of it. Okay. Yeah, this is probably a little bit wasteful for the people. What the flipping jellymongers have I just done? Okay. I just pressed a command and I think I was just like off by like one key. I feel like trying to get everything back up now. Yeah, there we're back. Nice background, yeah. They're the concept arts for like Half-Life 3, by the way. That's what they were. But there we go, flipping jellymongers. Now, for people who understand that reference, you're very good. Yeah, I probably did like Windows D rather than Command. Yeah, I was trying to save. So we've got that, the draw rect lines, which is great. Now that we've done that, in fact, just to prove that that works is the way I expect, we draw the same thing and not do that. Let's do another color. Let's think of a nice color. Let's go for 127, 50, 67. No, 67 I asked. Silly fingers. We got that lovely, awful brown. And for some reason, that's not rendering as I expect. Why is that attribute out of range? It shouldn't be, but whatever. I think it's probably out of range because it's not used. That's what the shader's doing. So I think what's happened here is that you've got the depth testing going on, and that's cocking everything up. So it's more of a... Oh. Yeah, so I know what's going wrong here. So for people who are looking at the stream, it's kind of just looking bad. So I've got the same size like rect, and I do this, it doesn't matter. Because I've got depth testing on, right? But the problem is the problem is I've got current depth, which is different layers. So because you've got different layers, it's going to do, oh god, this is the problem when you do 2D stuff and compared to 3D stuff. You have to deal with like layers, and layers aren't the same as like depth. Yeah, nothing to do with alpha. There's no alpha involved here, man. It's literally depth testing. So if I disable the depth testing, go back to Gordon, we just ignore the depth test for the time being, it works. So all of this is due to depth testing, right? Right, so it's very much the depth testing I don't think should happen. I think it should be on layer testing. And that layer sets the depth, if that makes sense. So that's a state change. Welcome to 2D world, because 2D world isn't even that necessarily great. So if we look for draw call, we're going to do layer, let's call this depth, like F32-ish. So when we do the draw call, we can then set some of the uniforms for the thing, right? GL get uniform location, UL depth, like that. And then when we do the draw calls, uniform 1F, I think that's right? And then we want to set the draw call dot depth. So when we set it, it's not like we shouldn't have a current depth anymore. It should be on what the current draw call is. Draw call. Like, that isn't even... So it's going to get the context dot return that, draw calls, length, get literally the last one, and then we get the depth. Right? And in fact, what I'm doing here is retarded because I'm trying to just not have that entirely. The position here is just meant to be a vec2. So when I come to do the draw stuff, that should be just 2 of them. Come to the shader, that should be vect2. Float, depth, depth. It's now going to really complain at me. So much to rewrite now, but it's not really much of a problem in the grand scheme of things. In fact, what I've got here with the stupid... we don't need Z. Z doesn't need to be set. We do that. Current depth isn't really a thing. Now it should be fine. The problem I've got here is the ordering. So you've got the depth testing as well to deal with. I've got no alpha to deal with. It's not an alpha problem, right? It's not an alpha. This is a depth problem. So the line should be underneath all of that, because this is the problem when you've got order of drawing. When you've got depth testing enabled, this is where things get a little bit shit. So welcome to depth buffers. You get some like floating point issues. That's the best way of putting it. I think we don't need to have any depth testing enabled, right? And hear me out, right? Hear me out. The reason why you don't want depth testing in this particular case is that is because you want to sort the buffers at the end, right? So just keep things dumb. Pretend there's a current draw call thing, right? I'm just keeping things really dumb for the time being because I'm thinking this through. Because thinking is a useful thing, at least, man. So these are the decisions you have to make. So I'm just typing to people when doing it. Welcome to when you're doing streams and also just typing to people. It's always the best thing in the world. I'm trying to think when it comes to design is depth buffers are great, but they result in those crap, that actual crap. And I'm not sure. Oh, I know what I've done wrong. So, first off, what I was showing was enable the depth buffer, right? Let's just enable it. So there's a bug already. That width isn't correct, right? And the reason why it's not correct is because when I add it, I need to add actually the full thickness. Because I've already done half of the thickness. So it should be there. So the depth testing was fine. So it was wrong, but at the same time, I'm like, the depth testing is also just like randomly doing things at this point. Can we just change that like browny maroon color? Because it's not actually that nice. I just picked random numbers. Let's go a little bit like greener. There we go. We've gone for a green. Like a green. I don't know the colors. I'm not a woman. Sounds a bit sexist, but like seriously, the amount of women I've known where they can tell you the exact color. It's kind of scary. Really scary to me. I'm like, how do you know that's like that chartreuse or something stupid? Like how? Like I need to know this superpower. I want to know it. I want to learn it. But I don't know it. Yeah, picking 67. 67 sounded like a good number. Best to note in Hex. Hunting skill. I know, yeah. It's probably a gathering skill as well. Like, it really is. Could be the color. Yeah, it could be the makeup stuff. I don't know. It's just one of those. They might make it up. But the thing is, they're consistent. Like, I know when they're saying it, I'm like, okay, that really is the same shade. How do you know? Just I don't know the names of things. I forget my own name at times, but that's a different problem. So we've got this kind of going on, right? So that's working when we disable the depth test. But when we need to enable the depth test, it's more of a... This is why I hate OpenGL at times as well. Like, this is WebGL, right? Which is based on OpenGL. There's going to have to be all of these different states in here. So you're going to have to do depth test bool, right? So when we come to doing the depth test, we need to figure out if it's enabled or disabled. So depth test, we enable it. Else, we disable it. Right? And now that I've completely done that trick, the sides look wrong now. Oh. That's not a good sign, is it? Rect lines. Is that correct? No, it is T, right? Because I'm going past it plus the T. No, that is thickness, and so is that. That's the correct answer, right? That was always the correct answer. Because we were always at war with Oceania, obviously. Because that's how it works. But, hey ho. We've got nice chartreuse here, right? Don't tell me that is actually not far off chartreuse, because if it is... I used to have some bottle of chartreuse somewhere, the green one. No, chartreuse is not that colour. Oh no, maybe chartreuse yellow might be. I mean, if you look at the bottle of the... It's not far off. It's a bit more... That's a bit more red in there, right? Because it's not the perfectly... colour of the chartreuse. So if we aim for a little bit more red in that... Maybe a bit more than that, actually. Let's go for 200. No, that's now gone slightly past. So it was about, let's say, 180. 175. Okay, we're getting there. Up the green to full. No, it was 240 was all right actually. Let's up the blue. So let's go to 110. No, it's too much. It was down the blue maybe. Now we're not far off chartreuse, right? I don't care about the hex color. I'm not doing hexes. I'm not doing it. Not at all. That's too silly for me. I'm judging it based on the color of an image. Like, here's a bottle of chartreuse that someone's got. If you like herby, alcoholic, very alcoholic mouthwash, chartreuse is the thing for you. Actually, it's not bad of a drink, actually. I'm just taking the piss out of the drink because it is a very weird flavor. It's very, very herbally, not like Jägermeister, which is disgusting. But yeah. Someone's saying 167. Ooh, I wasn't far off. 194 and 29. No, that's horrible. That's not chartreuse. That was not like the image I was looking at. Okay? Not at all. So we've got all that working. Right. So now someone didn't even know it was a color. No, that literally is it was a drink, which is why it's got a certain color to it. It's made by monks in France because reasons. The old joke is that's why the Pope is always on a chair because he's drunk on chartreuse. Try vodka color. Well, I'll give you vodka color. It's really easy, right? Let's get rid of that rectangle. There you go, vodka color. Wait a minute, there's no alpha blending. What the? I wanted alpha blending. Why is that not? Right. GL enable blend. Is it GL? I don't even know what it is. Blend? GL. Oh, not blender. Is it blend test or something like that? I don't remember. It's just GL blend, right? And then I've got to enable the test that I want. Right, so there's blend func. So we have the S factor and the D factor. Now I don't remember what I need to do. I think it's like I need source alpha and then 1 minus minus source alpha. Now that is vodka colored. Good. Happy? Great. People should be in. Yeah. Doing this. Again, I hope people are enjoying the stream, by the way, because again, I'm hoping you're enjoying this because this is me just being a little bit silly. I'm clearly putting on a bit of a character, but it is enjoyable, right? I hope. It's not perfect, but it's not bad. Yeah, it's kind of just more. This is what Twitch is for. You kind of do a bit of a character and just go a little bit overboard. Like I'm clearly not that drunk, just over the top with the eccentricity of this all. But shall we get back to it? Back to the regularly scheduled thing, which was not scheduled at all. So, right, okay, so we're going back to this. So we've got the blending working, which is lovely now, right? So if we have this chartreuse one, and we push it, the other one by like, I don't know, 200 across, we got it here. It may even be a bit 100 up as well. And we have that one be 128. Okay, so this is now doing that. So we can just swap some of these values around. Completely like, there you go, they're all shuffled. Ooh. Ooh. That has gone the wrong way. That now. Look at the blending on that. Now that is what I call blending. So it's one of those where this is kind of the thing. And it's just one of those. Yes, it is Ginger Bill. Where is he? Is he over here? Or there? I mean, have you seen Ginger Bill? Because I haven't seen him. Mainly because I probably am him, but that's a different thing entirely. Right, so clearly the blending's working. We're getting there. Slowly. We can do draw triangle. Then we've got draw triangle lines, draw triangle fan. The thing is, more the thing about Raylib. Raylib does some good things, and then also does some really bizarre things, to be honest with you. Like, it does. Draw triangle. So V0, V1, V2. Vector 2. Color. Check draw tool. So we need to put the context in there as well. Because it could be, depending on different contexts you have to deal with. We could probably change that context to canvas, but I think it is a context, right? It's not just the canvas. I'm not drunk, by the way. This is clearly an act. I clearly am on my second drink, but it's still. Yeah. Which language? This is the Odin programming language. By any chance, I'm also the creator of it as well, so it's kind of fun to do. So we can do the. We go to the quad. We go where do we go to quad here? We can just do. This is okay. So this isn't a quad. This is actually a. That's a bad function, to be honest, because it's taken vertices, not positions, which is what we should have done. Like that. So we should have just done like A equals vertex. Sorry. Vert 0. Color equals color. B, C, D. 1, 2, 3. A, B, C. Easy as C, D, A. That doesn't rhyme because I'm weird. Now we've got to think, well, if that is even correct, because technically, that's assuming it's technically a convex polygon. But for the time being, that'll be fine, right? So when we do the triangle thing, we have to do the exact same thing, but we just keep it simpler because there's only... Whoops. 1, 2. B0. No, so A, B, C. Come on, Michael Jackson. So then we're going to have to do the triangle lines, right? And we've got the thickness in there. So we can just draw line. Drawing line is going to be from like V0 to V1. Thickness, color. V1 to V2, V2 to V0. There you go, there's triangle lines done. But by the way, for people who don't understand, literally the Odin programming language wouldn't have existed unless I got drunk one night, like 8 years ago. It literally is because of that. Reasons. Right. We've got, what's the X thing here? It's just the thickness. It's just, I don't get half this. We've got triangle fan, triangle strip, draw poly. Now, so the draw poly one is, I don't know if it's doing, it's assuming convex or it might be concave, because concave, oh good God. I was trying to do triangulation or triangulization. I'm not sure which word is the better word to want to use, honestly, half the time. I always mix them up. The Asian and ization thing. And one of the problems I've got is when you're doing certain algorithms to figure out if this polygon needs to be drawn a certain way. So you need to do like an A-cut algorithm, or you can do this. Is it Seidel algorithm, which is technically like, it's not technically constant. I think it's n times. Isn't it like log star n times n or something stupid like that, right? So it's nearly linear, but it's not. And in practice, it pretty much is linear. I don't remember the algorithm off the top of my head, but it's like, that's what you need to do. But yeah, but by the way, we're getting there with that little like canvas algorithm, what we're doing. There's rectangle gradients. This is fun, but yeah. Yeah, of course. I got frustrated with C++. The problem is when I tell this story, it's always very much do I tell it I got frustrated with C++. What do I say? I got frustrated with C++ because I was drunk. It's always a very different story to do. But yeah, what I need to maybe be doing right now for the time being is we may need to do an intermission because of reasons. You can probably guess. Let me go to the scene. Oops. Right, there you go. You can see the scene from that. See in about a couple minutes. Right, I'm back. Oh, hello. So I will be back, and I am back now, by the way. So I can just move this off the screen, bring it back, and we're back to this. We can go back to the full camera if we would like instead. But yeah, welcome to the stream. It's a thing, right? It's a thing. Oh, this is one of those things. So we've probably lost about 30 viewers. However, I apologize because of that, because clearly when nature calls, nature calls. Right, we're going to figure out more of these different things. They've got like splines. We're going to have to implement most of this, by the way. We're going to have to. I am just so surprised. Like, hey, draw the line linear. Like, a lot of these don't have thickness in them. But then some of them do. I don't know. It's a bit inconsistent. I don't know. Like this one is draw polylines. And it doesn't even tell you the... I don't get this. Yeah. Hey, we're getting this viewers again. Maybe they come back because they really love those, like the commercial messages from our sponsors, which are non-existent. But by the way, I actually got contacted the other day on like email and Twitter by people saying, "Oh, could we sponsor you on Twitch and also YouTube?" And these people I've just deleted. I don't even bother to reply to them because the short answer of it is they're just AI people. They literally want to say, "Could you advertise our AI product?" It's like, can you like fuck off? Pardon my French, but like, sorry, like just fuck off. I'm not advertising AI. It's not something I'd ever use or even want people to use because it's literally a bullshitting engine. That's literally what it's designed to be. It's not something I want to be using. So, you see my point? You see it? This is why I really use Pampers. I'm like, I'm not wearing a nappy, okay? Why would... I'm sorry, real pros, these people are degenerates at that point if they have to wear nappies. Good God. This is all I need to do. So, as we go. Right. So, we've gotten to this stage here. We've got the triangle lines. Let's just work it through. So, we've got pixel, which to me is just stupid. Now, okay, so it is stupid. So, we have pixel, we have lines, we've got that. Line extension, which is already what we have. Line strip. So, we could do the miters, which I remember what the word was now. Miter. Ooh. The strip arguments, like, they do make sense to me, but at the same time, it's more of a... When you start doing those sort of things, people will expect miters on them, right? For people who don't understand, let's get the scene up. Miters. These are technical terms for what people don't know. So we're going to use the word miter. That's how you spell it, right? I think so. Right? Let's just make that R a little cleaner. There's the word miter. So when we're drawing a line, you could do connected lines like this. Now that looks fine, but this is an idealized thing and we already have like implicit miters. So the better way of doing it is, so we've got like a line here, like that, and we've got another one where we're going to draw another line here. Now the problem is you've got this, that's probably not in the center. That is in the center. Now the problem is you've got this weird overlap and it doesn't look, it looks sharp in a corner. So what a miter does is effectively, if we can just draw it, I'm trying to draw a really good example of this. Let's just draw it like an overlap like this, right? The miter is, there's different types of miters. So the first simplest one is you just draw a line. So this just cuts off this corner. That's the first miter. So if we do it in red, that's just a straight miter. The other miter you could do is you just try and join up the lines. So that's like an angled miter. The other one is you get a curved miter. So you try and get an arc in there. So you all have these three different types of miters, which, if I get now another color, let's go for blue. There. We do that. They're all, this is the problem is when you draw a line strip, you have a different choices for what miters you could do. And the problem is you don't know which one's the better one. And I really don't know. Yeah, like again, like in woodworking, the word's the same, right? It's the same in like when you do typography or woodworking or whatever. These miters are like, which ones do you choose? Like you've got the sharp corner, the arc, or you just got literally the point to point. And it's one of those where I don't know which one it is. And I'm like, this is why I don't want to do a line strip. If you're going to do it, I would rather let you do it to a certain extent. Or maybe the option is you always do like the arc one. Add like, I don't know, probably 4 segments is all you need really. And that will look better in general. But it's not going to be perfect. Because like clearly these points are intersecting the same midpoint. So there's one midpoint and there's the other midpoint, right? So there's this miter aspect to it, which you can have just smooth. And you're going to have to figure out which side to draw it on as well. Because you don't need the miter here, per se, right? You only need it on that side. Because your thing is you could have it on this side as well. You could have the miter here. But that might just be a little bit too much when clearly that's where the edge case comes in. But it's one of those, right? I don't even use AI for search engines because I think literally it's a bullshitting engine. People don't understand this. It does not give you the good, correct answer. It gives you the answer that sounds correct. That is literally what it's trained on doing. Giving you an answer that sounds correct. Which is why I'm like, do not use it for anything serious, please. Do not even give it as an inspiration because it might even do it wrong. Just use it for fun. Just use it for fun. Sorry, I'm just more of a, I get mad at AI because it's not even good. It's just not good. It's impressive in times, but it's like, it's not good. Yeah. So you can see what I'm doing the line strips. So I'm not going to bother with this yet. If that makes any sense. So we've got the aspects here. Yeah, we're not going to bother with the strips. So let's just implement everything else. We've got circle. We've got arc, which has even got the circle sector. So we've got draw circle. Do we have a ellipse sector? No, we don't. We have arc. The arc lines. That's what that is. So we have draw arc. Draw circle sector. Which is going to be angle start, angle end. Yeah. Like that. So it's effectively, I'm going to just draw the ring. Yeah. On the circle sector. But the... Oh no, circle sector is the arc. So I need an ellipse. Oh god, it's... I can't call it draw arc. Let's call that circle lines. So I've just got to call this draw ring. With the ellipse though, you'd have different radii. So ellipse ring, and you got ring and a circle. So these aren't radius; these are radii. vector 3. And the problem is, well, vector 2, sorry. The problem with doing that, though, is then you've got, things could go, like, out of whack. Dot x, dot y, dot x, dot y. Drawing arc, ellipse, arc, radii of vector 2. Yeah, that's fine. Now I've got in a radius, so if we just look for the radius, we can change that to radii. It is a Latin word, obviously. It compiles. I don't need this. I will test it, by the way, because clearly testing is a good idea. Right, there's an ellipse ring. And I've got the different radii here. So if I just do slightly different this time, so if we do like 20, 40, it's now doing the letter C, but that one's going to be 30, 50. Right? It's doing what I expect. And just to make that clear, we can probably also put a no broadcast on that as well. Because when we got the radii thing, we don't really want that broadcasting. See what I mean? So if I just have that as a ring. But we shouldn't call it ring, maybe? We should just call that circle lines. Yeah? Draw lines, arc lines. But they're the same. No, that is a ring, right? Maybe call that circle. So sector lines. Or circle sector lines. And then we have circle lines, which we don't need the angle lens anymore. We just need to go math tau for that. Did I just change the angle of all that stuff? Because that did not... What the fuck did I just do? Sorry. Ring, draw ring. That's a ring, right? So that's very thick. So that's going to be sector lines. Let's draw sector. Yeah, let's draw sector lines. So that's going to be... No, let's draw a ring. That is definitely draw a ring, and that's going to be sector lines, yeah. Arc's gone, so that's sector lines. And I've gone from like 0 to 90%. That looks like about 90%. So if we go to 75%, that should be... Sorry, 75%? Should be a right angle, yeah? It does. Hello. Tilde backend stuff, it's just been on the back burner, to be honest with you, because it's just so much work. It really is. I've got other things to be doing, unfortunately. Like, it would be lovely to get faster compile times, but that's literally the main reason for the Tilde stuff. And I've worked a lot of work on the LLVM stuff to make that faster in general. Because that does help. It does. And I've got things like at least over 2 times faster by default nowadays for like development builds. Which is not one big thing, unfortunately. It was like loads of little things to make things faster. And just a lot of profiling, a lot of testing, making it all work. Welcome to the channel. So that works there. I'm just trying to think about the right name. So this is a sector. Like, is it a sector? Because we can draw a sector, right? Right, so if I now draw a sector on this, rather than the sector lines, and I have that as like bright red. There we go. I don't think that's correct, what I've just written, because the more I think about it, that doesn't make any sense. Inner radius, outer radius. That looks too chunky for what I've written. So it looks like... Yeah, that looks really chunky. So what thickness did I actually set? Because the thickness is, of course... Sorry. Sector... Center, radius... Center? Radius... Thickness just needs to be 10. That is what I was looking for, yeah. So that makes more sense. It was chunky as anything, but yeah. The tilde back end stuff is this stuff here. So a friend of mine, very good friend, Negate, he is working on a C compiler effectively. And he has his own back end system, which is state of the art, by the way. It really is state of the art based on the work of Cliff Click. And it is something that's effectively competitive to LLVM. And it is going to be better than LLVM and faster in every way as well. So it's one of those where I'm like, yeah, this is actually like work. It's good. So you can't really compile. If you want to get into compilers, don't try and use a backend. Just try and do your own. But yeah, wait, what? I'm like, I don't know what you're saying for. We've got sector lines. We've also got sectors. We've got everything else in here. So you can build everything up from what I'm doing. Right. So what else is in this? We've got ring. We got ring lines. Well, ring lines doesn't make any difference to me. I'm like, what the heck is the difference between a ring outlines, draw a ring and drawing lines? Does this just draw the lines of the ring? It's not a ring anymore, it's a sector. So a ring is a very specific thing. Like it's an outline, right? Sorry, I'm now seeing me putting faces. But again, copying Raylib is not necessarily a good thing. This is the thing, is just some of these things, like clearly I've got all the extra things on here, but it's also very much like a lot of the time the user might just want to do this manually, so it's kind of more of a maybe just let the user do it. But that's not necessarily what you want. Now, the thing is, I haven't done textures yet, right? So when we do sprites, we probably want default values, because C doesn't allow for that really, right? So when we look like for the draw texture, right? We've got we'll say pro version. So the pro version is more probably closer to what people want by default. Like some people say, oh, this is why I don't like the design. You probably can't see what I'm looking at here, but I just put it up here and just make it a little bit bigger. Drawing the texture. So drawing texture here, it takes the texture, you set the position you want to draw it in, and then set the tint. Fine. That sounds like you're going to do, that's what you want by default. And the answer is no, because when you're making a game, you usually have a texture atlas, right? So already, by default, having a texture atlas means you have to go to pretty much the Draw Pro by default. Which is not really like that professional. It's like, but that's just by default, we want a texture atlas, so we're doing that. So we have to set the source, the destination, which, to be honest with you, I think is like backwards, but whatever. Then you have the origin, the rotation, and the tint, which is like, okay, great. You got all these different feels. Like the rotation I would have after the color, and I would have that be like 0 by default. And then you have like, yeah, again, the Pro Max or again, the MK Ultra edition of obviously of it. But then you got this end patch, which draws a texture or a part of it that stretches and shrinks nicely. So what the heck is end patch info? When you check the impact, let's go to the C version, or Odin version at least. We have a source rectangle, then we have the border offsets, and then you have the end patch layout. Oof. End patch layout, which is either 9 patch, 3 patch vertical, or 3 patch horizontal. I do know what this means, but at the same time, I'm like, what? Like, why would I need this? Somebody got drunk. I'm not being rude. If they get banned for this, I'm not actually drunk, to be clear. This is kind of an act. And also, if I got banned for this, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm not really promoting alcohol use. I think being drunk's a sin. But like, sure, it's just more of I did this originally like 8 years ago, and I did create an entire like language and career out of this, and careers of many other people as well, which is kind of terrifying when you think about it. Literally, at least a few dozen, at least. Like, oh no. If I had another pint, I'd be drunk. Like, I would be. Like, I'm not lying. I know where my limits are. But yeah, it's weird. If Twitch is banning people for that, that's weird. But maybe I'm not there yet. But also, like, the reason why I've done the live drunk programming is more of like the to me, it's more like live nude women or like kind of like things that people used to do. Clearly, I'm not doing one of those pornographic things, but you know what I mean. Yeah, it's a weird move for Twitch because especially since they allow scantily clad women to go in a hot tub and do all that crap, and it's just, well, I'm just like, I don't get Twitch, right? Like, Twitch makes 0 sense to me. Like, we're going to go more serious. We're going straight to the camera. They'll go be very much like, oh, we're doing the alcohol, it's bad. I'm like, but you're like softcore porn on here? Like, what? Like, really? What? Just Twitch, I don't get you. Like, you're not got a consistent moral framework. It's more of a, well, we know this works, but we'll let them slide. But this one, no, this is bad for the kids. And I'm like, and the other thing's not bad for the kids? Well, they've got, it's like, I don't get it. I really don't get it. It's just bad. Clearly, you're never going to see me in a hot tub because, God, that's horrible. Why would you want to be in a hot tub? That's just literally the perfect conditions to spread any type of disease in. Just no. So apparently alcohol plus the softcore porn is fine, just not the alcohol on its own. I'm like, if that is seriously true, Twitch, please just don't. Please, just don't. I don't get it. I really don't get it. I know they're not consistent, and that's half the problem. And then you also have to think, yeah, it's their websites. They can do whatever they want. It's not a rule of law. It's literally a rule of that is the corporation's what they're doing. And I'm like, fine. It's annoying. It really is annoying. It's just more of, I'd like, you want to at least know what the law is of the land. So apparently you can do cannabis. I doubt it's true. This is the thing, is I very much doubt it's true. But at the same time, I'm like, if they don't allow alcohol, they'll allow cannabis. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm not being rude. One of them's worse off for you in the long run, especially with cannabis. That's a hell of a lot worse for you if you're doing habitually, at least, like every day. Oh, God, that's not good for you. Yeah, that's not good for you, man. People say, oh, you don't get addicted to it. I'm like, it may not be an addiction, but it's not good. Sorry, let's get off the serious camera and let's go back to the fun stuff. Back to the fun stuff. Yeah, we're there. Fun. So, we're just having one of those deep kind of conversations, and it's bad habits, and also like, yeah, weed's not good for you, man, especially since it does to your brain. Yeah, just don't do that. Like, clearly, I've had cheese and crackers. I've had a chocolate ganache that's not even that big. It is 85 grams. It was the food quantity. It was. And it was quite nice, I have to agree. But it was from Aldi, so not the most expensive thing in the world. Apparently it's gluten-free. Wow, gluten-free? Oh, that did not look like... Oh, good God. So the lemon posset I had the other day, yesterday in fact, had a very small list of ingredients. While this one is... That's a lot of ingredients. That's not making me feel good. Yeah, like I know what all the ingredients do, but at the same time, that's not good. Like it's very carrageenan, which is what I use in my beer, which we normally call Irish Moss or like Protafloc tablets or Allfloc tablets, whatever you call the brand name. And usually use them for as a cleaning clarity agents, because what they do is, I can never remember which way around it is, because I'd have to figure out in the end. They act as a protein clearing thing, where they attract certain proteins. So I can't remember if it's the positive ions or the negative ions. They attract to it and then they drop to the bottom. So you never actually, in practice, pretty much, ever actually have the carrageenan, which is the Irish moss, seaweed, in your beer. It's just there that it'll make things a bit clearer and get rid of all of those like things. I'm English. Like, I'm English, very English, if you can tell by my accent. This is not an Irish accent. But it's just one of those where it's one of those chemicals, but the people use it as a thickening agent and things, and it's not actually that good for you as a thickening agent. It's great for other purposes rather than eating it. I don't know why I'm explaining food science to people. It's not biology. This is just food science, okay? Fun. Yeah. So, all coming off all of this, going back to what we were doing and drawing all the draw stuff. So I think the next time I do a stream, I don't know when the next time I'll do a stream is. Probably could be tomorrow night. I doubt it, but it could be. And if it is, we'll probably try and get some other things in that thing done. So if we look at Love2d, right? Sorry for the, oh, it's gone white. Oh, my eyes, my burns. I'm sorry. We'll probably get font rendering working, maybe. Try and get font rendering. You are not far off if you said Nottingham. Now, if I said Nottingham in a Nottingham accent, it would be Nottingham, right? That'll be a Nottingham accent. It's not that far off, but Nottingham. If you can figure out from there, you're not that far off. I did use, yeah. Like, literally, you're not that far off. So yeah, I'm thinking font rendering, because we can probably, since that Leighton has been done some amazing work on the stuff, we've got some of the, like, the STB library stuff. STB, not easy font. STB. Oh, no, it's in vendor. So we go to vendor. We go to the STB stuff, and then we look for the true type. That's what I was looking. There is the WASM thing. So this does actually work for WASM, apparently. And if it does work for WASM, like, we might be able to use this stuff like that. And I'll be really happy if we can. It's the same thing with the Box2D stuff, because, again, Love2D has all this functionality, as literally as the physics stuff. Because guess what? That's the same as the Box2D stuff, and it will just work. But as if we can just have this as a like general thing, it will be nice to have, I think. Also, what is the... Oh, God, I'm thinking about... Today is what, the 18th of September at the time of recording. When is the next Ludum Dare, or Ludum Dare, if I'm going to go full on Latin? It is the 29th of September. Now, I won't be doing it that weekend, which is the next weekend. Not this weekend coming, but the weekend after. Ooh, we won't have anything ready by then. Oh, for God's sake. Well, we will, but nothing useful. I don't know. I didn't mean... No. The 29th of September, 2024. I didn't say the year, actually, at all. I don't think so, I did. If I did, whatever. It might have said 2023. I didn't say it. No, it's not a Dudley accent. I'm not doing that accent, but yeah, but Nottingham's not that bad. I mean, I can sound a little bit better if I do a radio voice. And we've got the radio voice going on now today. I'm not going that far, but just do my normal voice. It'll be fine. But yeah. Oh. Thank you very much for enjoying Odin. It is a nice language. I've tried to make it good. Is it Leicester? You are bang on. It's Leicestershire at least, not Leicester. Leicester City, but like, yeah. But yeah, you're pretty much bang on, yeah. Yeah, no, it said September for the next one. So, Ludum Dare. Look, there we go. It says 2023. Or maybe, I think this is meant to be 2024, to be honest with you. I think that's what it means. Wait, that maybe was... What? I'm confused. When is the Ludum Dare? Like, I haven't done it in ages, but the next one's going to be the 57. Oh, it might actually be. Like, it may not update the website. So number 56. It's October. That might be doable. Okay, it might be doable. Yeah, so when I read this, I actually originally thought this meant like the wrong date. I was confused. I almost 24, and that's mid-2025. But no, it's still got the old ones on because they haven't updated it. So the next one is the Ludum Dare 56, right? And that's October 4th to the 7th. So we might have Gordon2d in its first prototype at least. And we might be able to make a game. The question is, will it have audio? And the answer is probably not. But that's one thing, is audio is always, once it's there, it's dead easy to do. But getting it up there in a general sense, which is usable, that's very rarely the case. I'm very glad that... Yeah, Odin is one of those things about Odin where I'm trying to make the joy of programming. People don't understand that. It's more of I'm trying to get rid of the crap that makes you hate programming more than trying to... it's more of a negating thing of like, get rid of the crap more than, let's say, a positive thing. Make it more enjoyable. Because to me, I'm like, the enjoyable thing is you enjoy programming, right? So just get rid of the bureaucracy that you have to deal with. That's kind of the point of Odin, right? So, there you go. I'm not having another drink. I'm done, actually. Ooh, I'm done. Going to bed after this. I'm tired. But I'm just trying to think. So Ludum Dare is probably a doable thing. I've done Ludum Dare a few times before. It's always been fun. And I always do the actual old-fashioned 48-hour one. I never do the 72-hour one. Because I think that's cheating, in my opinion. You want the full-on 48-hour thing and do it. So will Gordon be part language or vendor or something? It'll be probably part of vendor. Because it's one of those where if I design it, it's going to be pretty good. Right? And I don't mean that in like a egotistical thing. Like, because I made it, it's going to be really good. No, I mean more of the thing is it's more of a... Because it's going to be part of vendor, it's going to be useful and people are going to use it. And it's going to be for WASM as well. And some of those things are... It's going to be there, obviously. But it's going to be hard to design. So just trying to get it there is what I'm trying to do. yeah, looking at the Love2D stuff, we have the audio, we have the, what's the data? Useless to us. Event system, well, we have a vent system, but I think what I'll do is that you'll have a per frame system. So each frame, depending on if you're in that context or if they're in that context, then we'll give the stuff maybe. I don't know, you'll figure it out. Like if the mouse is in the context is selected or whatever, you can do it. Yeah. So I'm trying to think this through. So someone's saying here, it's just awkward to do the pointer stuff. So yeah, so regarding the pointer stuff, it may be awkward, but in practice, you very, very rarely actually have to do dereferencing in Odin. It really is one of those things where, yeah, when you do it, it's annoying, but at the same time, it's not that bad. They got the mouse, the physics, the sound. What's the system stuff? Clipboard. Yeah, we could probably do that. I think what we should probably do is we go through it. And we'll do graphics first. Then we're going to go to font. Then we'll probably do the joystick stuff. Like I've got a Steam controller here, obviously. You can tell I'm a Steam controller fanboy, right? Because clearly Steam controller is the best. I mean, the Steam Deck's pretty good as well, by the way. But the only problem I have with the Steam Deck is that the trackpads are pretty bad in the sense that they're squares and they're not in the natural position. So it's more of a, clearly they want to use the sticks, because I would say, yeah, I agree with that 80% of people probably use the sticks all the time. And they're nice because they do have the capacitive thing on them, so you can do the gyro thing, right? That's all I ever want the capacitive thing on the sticks for, is like, oh, if my finger's on top, then enable gyro. If my finger's on top, disable gyro. Which is what I do when I hold down the trackpads. But the problem is with the Steam controller is, I hope this never dies, because I've got a spare, just one spare that I've never opened. But it's so good. It really is so good. There are improvements I would say to it. So the thing is, clearly the trackpad here would need to be a thumbstick on it. But it's also one of these, you've got the things, you've got the two trackpads. You maybe need another stick. Maybe like, but the problem is, where would you put it? And then the other problem you've got on here, I don't know. There's only 2 buttons on the back rather than 4 now, which is what like the Steam Deck has got. And the triggers are okay. And I don't know, it's nearly there. If there was a Steam controller too, that would be great. Sorry, yeah, Odin's taught you what dead keys are. Yeah. They're not a problem. Once you know what dead key is, it's like you just press the space bar afterwards, you'll be fine. And it's not even that hard to even deal with it. Like, it really isn't. Like, this is one thing as well, like, people complain about it. The people, like, they're like theoretical complaints as well. They're not even practical. It's like, have you actually even worried about this? Turns out, no. Yeah, I've heard rumors they're going to bring out a better Steam controller, but I'm not sure. So there's keyboard inputs, which is clearly, I'm going to have to deal with that as well. Math, we don't need to give you the math because we have the entire Odin core library, which will work. Mouse, physics, sound. Sound is going to be a pain, right? Because giving a decent API is annoying, because there's 2 options you can do. You can just say, here's the buffer, push to the buffer per frame, which is not always good because you want to have that in another thread. Or the other one is just you play like sound bites. So you have like, here's the background noise, here's the sound bites. It's always going to be really hard to have a decent sound design, if that makes any sense. So yeah, it's like, what do you do, really? Like, what do you do? That's my question. System, like, you've got clipboard, OS we don't need power info, process count, no, there's only going to be 1. Background music, why is that on the system? Open URL, I mean, yes, that would be useful as well. And vibrate. I would have put that under joystick myself, but sure, whatever. Whatever. Thread stuff, again, we don't need to deal with thread stuff because it's always going to be single threaded. There is the get FPS, which is going to be on the context anyway. The get the time context sleep. I will never actually have sleep because that means that's kind of stupid. Like it really is. Touch, maybe, but I'd have to actually test that on my iPad if I was designing that. Video stuff. Oh god, no, probably not. Don't need to deal with a video stream anytime. And then you got the Windows stuff, but like that's not that difficult to get because that's part of the WebGL stuff, which we'll probably like wrap. And then we have Lua socket and UTF-8. Well, we're not going to deal with socket stuff, obviously, and UTF-8 stuff is part of the core library already. So I think this is doable. Like I could probably in like the next couple evenings at least, we could probably get something working fine. Like this is not the prettiest thing that I've written already, but it's showing that it's working. And yeah, it shows that it works. Oh, so system interface for mobile phones, not the joysticks. That makes more sense. But clearly I want touch because I want to be able to make this framework work not just on desktops, but also on your phone. Because again, I want to kind of like bring Flash back. But when I say bring Flash back, at least I mean just for games. And that means I kind of want Newgrounds back kind of thing. And oh, I really love Flash games. I really did. And I don't play them anymore because, not because Flash games are bad nowadays. It's just there's not many of them. Like there really aren't that many. And it's really hard to like find these good games, and they're not Flash related anymore. They're always like HTML5. They may be made with Adobe Animate. Like Adobe Animate, really? Like really? But I'm going to guess that with this, what I'm doing, slowly work it out, generate these primitives, add the texture loading, add the font rendering, and within like a couple streams, we'll be there. And I'm going to just try and do most of this on a stream, like not in my personal time, because I've got other things to do, pretty much. So off we go there, to a sense. But yeah, again, people, reason why I was doing this is just go back to serious mode, right? Full screen. Is I was making a tweet and I literally said a tweet and then someone was telling me, why don't you just do it? I went, good point. But like my tweet was very much like, here's my cold take. HTML5, when it was being pushed as a Flash replacement, kind of made things worse in general, except for the performance aspects and security aspects and all that such. And like, I remember when it was the iPhone first coming out, right? This is showing my age to a certain extent. Not really, but like it's showing a certain age. Like when I remember the iPhone first coming out, Steve Jobs wanted everything to be a web app, not on the App Store. The apps on the first version of the iPhone, there was no App Store. That wasn't happening until iPhone 3G, and then they added it. But like everything was meant to be a web app, and we didn't want to support Flash because that was one, Adobe, and also they knew that the Flash thing had massive security issues. But secondly, it wasn't even just the security issues. It was mainly because one, it's owned by Adobe, not a general standard. And the other issue was that it was so much bad for performance and battery draining. So they never wanted to add Flash to the iPhone. And that big push there was pushed towards HTML5. But the problem was that HTML5 at the time wasn't adequate enough to beat what Flash did. Now, I know there's the two aspects to Flash. There is the Flash player and the Flash like application to make your tools in. And those two weren't, like they were separate, obviously, but like clearly they complemented each other. And the player that eventually was implemented with HTML5, and it does work better. I think like there's Ruffle, which someone made in Rust, which does it, and that one is pretty good, right? And again, you got rid of the security issues, all that lot, and it's fine. And it's not performance-wise, it's not bad either. But then you've got the second thing, right? Which is the editor, and no one's really tried to replace that. And I say, well, Adobe Animate works, and it can go to HTML5 nowadays. I'm like, yes, nowadays, but even then, it was like they were trying to kill something when they didn't even have a replacement. And it was really annoying. And some people saying like, oh, no, it was actually bad in the day. You're just making it bad. It's like, look, when you're making games, you're making little slideshows or whatever it was. This is what people wanted. The HTML equivalent was awful. It was really bad. And I'm like, people are not like that. I think the problem is that when people are saying like, no, Flash was bad and really bad and all this lot. And I've had a couple of people tell me this. I'm like, I don't think you remember the early days of HTML5 and all that stuff. It was bad. And it was not as good as. So I'm trying to think of a way of phrasing this. It was not as good as it is now, and clearly there's not the tooling around it all. It was just bad. But then again, it raises the other question of what do you do? Seriously, what do you do? And I don't know myself. Yeah. Oh, sorry. So there's certain questions here. Is first off, I'm missing many questions. Oh, okay. Sorry, I've just been ranting about Flash. Odin has absolutely no methods in the language. Like it does have like procedure values as fields in a struct, and you can call them like methods, but they're not methods, right? That's one thing. Odin doesn't have methods because we like to have a separation between data and like data and code if we can. And we try and do more of the C-style imperative procedural approach. I don't want to go anywhere near even object-like things. Not because I'm against objects as an idea, but more of it's a rabbit hole which doesn't make much sense. If you're going to do it as something as a C alternative. Again, C didn't have methods, so Odin's a C alternative. It's not trying to be a C++ alternative or a go without garbage collection. It's trying to be something it's related to those things, but not those things, right? The other thing someone's asking is WASM with or mscripton or not. So we're not going to do any mscripton whatsoever for this gordon2d thing. If that's what I'm going to call it. Might call it something else. I don't really care. It's a name. The problem that I've got is that mscripton is a bodge. It's so bad. Like really bad. And that trying to use it or even get around it is not a good idea. Like if anyone's actually seen what mscripton does, they actually implement many libraries like bodgy wise just to get things to work or to quote unquote link, and it's just so bad. Like gordon2d is a funny name, and it really kind of is a funny name. I agree. I was gonna think crow because the problem with Gordon is it's 6 letters, and people don't like typing 6 letters, and most they'll type 4. They really will, and most. So 6 is a bit too much. So I might have to call it something else. But Gordon is funny. I know it's funny, but that's why I chose it so far. It's a code name, okay, for the time being. It doesn't matter. We can change it afterwards. So the reason where gordon2d came from is quite obvious. So I was trying to make a Flash kind of alternative, right? So Flash Gordon, like Flash Gordon, the film. So there's where the Gordon bit and the 2D bit comes from. Is from like Love 2D, from like the Lua library for that game framework, 2D game framework. So that's where the gordon2d bit comes from. Hopefully that makes sense. It's also like a proper name. It's not like it's not a fake name at the end of the day. So yeah. Again, it's a code name. I'm like the problem is I do regret having Odin as the name of the programming language because it's so hard to search for. There's so many different projects named Odin that it wasn't the best thing to call it, but it just stuck and I can't really change it now. I really can't. It's not 1.0 yet. I'm like, I'm sorry, but actually Odin kind of is 1.0 at this point. It's just not officially 1.0. So there's that. Go to Don. Like, no. Just no. The Gordon2d thing was funny, but I might have to do like Crow 2D or something like that. That's not a bad name, Crow. But yeah, so clearly now I'm not just doing program anymore because to be honest with you, I'm absolutely tired. I'm shattered. But yeah, it's just more of a... Oof. So Odin is the language of all more. I mean, kind of, but like Odin, I love Odin because it's one of those where I'm like, I try to make an alternative, but also like the languages in this space, I don't actually like them that much, to be honest with you. Like, there's not many languages in the domain of a C alternative with manual memory management. There's not many. The current ones are effectively Odin, Zig, C3, Jonathan Blow's language, and that's about it. Now, there are others. People go, what about D-Lang? Or what about the Hairlang? And I'm like, well, they've got issues. So D-Lang by default has got garbage collection. So you'd have to go use the better C form of it, which even then I'm like, it's not that much better than C in the grand scheme of things. So there's not really much of an advantage to use it. Hair is another one of those where like Drew DeVault is very ideologically possessed, to the point where he will not support non-open platforms. So he doesn't care about Windows or even Mac, which is kind of crazy to me. And I'm like, sure, but that's a stupid position. Like, it really is kind of stupid. Because maybe it's just a language for himself, and that's fine. But why even advertise it? Like, even try to advertise it. Just say, like, hey, it's language for me. If you want to use it, that's fine. Like, I won't support these platforms for this reason, that's fine. But it's not kind of what he's doing. So it's kind of like, eh. So we have like Odin, C3, and Zig, and all that lot. That's it, pretty much. And Jonathan Blow's language. That's it. Jonathan Blow's language isn't public yet. It's still more of a, you have to ask him to use it because it's a private beta. But yeah. And yeah, JAI is more of a C++ alternative. And so is like Zig. Like, this may sound like a very weird like thing to state, but like Zig has methods, right? It's built around structs with methods, and all namespaces are structs. This is very C++ 98 to me. This is what it feels like. And when I program in Zig, it feels more like C++ 98 than it does feel like in C. And they go, yeah, but no, you don't have to use methods. And the answer is, yes, but you're kind of like nudged into using them. Anytime you use comp time to generate a new struct, to make a generic thing, it pretty much wants you to do it as like generate the methods for that type, or use full on like duck typing, so ad hoc polymorphism. So it feels a lot more to program. Like when you're using Zig, it feels a lot more like C++ 98 than it does programming in like C99, right? They don't feel the same. Now, some people are going to tell me like, that's not really what it means. Like, but I'm saying what it feels like. And this is not criticism of Zig. It's not at all. It's just more of a, it doesn't feel like a C alternative to me. It feels much more like an old C++ alternative. Which is why I'm like, there's actually not many, like, okay, that narrows it down to Odin and C3. That's the only C alternatives out there. Which is kind of crazy to me. But like, it's not crazy. It's like, I completely understand why it's that way. It's just, it is. But yeah, and it's more of a, it's weird when you think about it, right? I'm not saying that Odin's perfect. It isn't. There's loads of compromise. I would be the first person to tell you every single flaw in Odin. But it is one of those where people always go like, well, I've already got this. And I'm like, but that thing doesn't feel like that thing. It's like, just be honest about what you want. You may not even know what you want. So it may not be even an honest thing. So, I don't know. Like my issue with methods, right? And this is another thing where someone's asking the things, you still not prefer method syntax or not. Methods to me is, if you're going to have them, they should do something special, and it shouldn't just be shorthand or an organization tool. They should have some other semantic aspect, like for instance, some sort of type class system in there, either be a static or dynamic dispatch, doesn't matter which, but like in general. And like Go does the dynamic dispatch, and it's not just that, like you have the implicit type class interface system, and it's a good thing, but it has loads of conflicts to it. And then Rust has its trait system, which is a static dispatch type class system. Sometimes with the dyne thing, when you need to have dynamic thinking, so it's like it allows you to do both things. But both of them, like, they're going in that thing. It's not just organizational, but when you look at people who use C++, a lot of times they use methods in C++ is purely for organization. They go like, oh, I've got this object or value and I want to do dot thing on it to find what I need and then call that method on it so I don't have to do the long form like I would have done in C. And I'm like, sure. But like, you're not really using methods for anything other than just shorthand and organization. Like, oh, these are just the functions that I used underneath this type. I'm like, this is where things, it's like, it's not OOP, it's just a weird thing. And at my point, I'm like, why do we even need methods? You just want standalone functions. Like, but I've got to type more. I'm like, if you're complaining, you have to type more. You're in the wrong profession. Learn to type faster or just get used to typing. Like, it's not the wrong, it's the wrong thing to optimize for. Like, just type faster or type or get used to it. Like, sure, sorry. I understand that optimizing for certain things in that regard, but it's not that it's good or bad. It's just more of, I don't agree with that kind of organization. People say, what about my IDEs or my language servers where I can do x dot what at x dot and then see all the methods that are related to it? I'm like, that's not related to methods technically. You can have that without methods. Like, that's what the Odin language server does, which is unofficial, by the way, produced by Daniel Gavin. And people love it. They can just do that, and then it just rewrites the code to make it the function call. But it's like, that's literally just an ID. That's like a language server problem that has nothing to do with methods. But it's just that people think the method thing and then do that because that's how they think of it from a syntax level. But it's not necessarily a syntax related thing. But that's kind of my issue with all these things. Like, again, I'm not against methods. It's just more of a, like for Odin, if I was going to do it, I would have gone through that rabbit hole and I went, no, at this point, that's just too much. And I didn't want to go, I want to rein back the complaints and the issues with language design. Like, this is one of those things where I'm a stickler, not for minimalism, but just not going too far, not trying to do too much. And a lot of these languages are either trying to do too much or too little. And it's kind of more of a, I know that's kind of more of a, hey, I think I've got good taste. I think I do. So this is how I'm going to try and design things. But it's not necessarily the easiest thing in the world to do. Does that make any sense? So, sorry, I need to check the chat anyway, because I've not really paid attention. You have never programmed in your life, but you saw a drunk stream and you was expecting to see more unhinged. Yeah, when I get drunk, I don't actually change much. Like, if I had another drink, I'd be drunk, right? But I don't really change much. Like, weirdly, when people get drunk, their inhibitions drop. And it's like, oh, yes, I'm going to do this. I'm going to... no, I'm going to not say any jokes because it will be out of context and it won't help. But that's kind of the thing. Like, some people saying syntax thing and like, I don't want syntactic diabetes. That's another thing. Syntax is also like, people want syntax and not considering what that the implied semantics are. They just want the sugar. And I'm like, do not get the syntactic diabetes, please. Do not do that. It's not good for you. It really isn't. But yeah. Dropped a cracker. I was going to eat one. Yeah, it's just obvious to me. Like, yeah, Jonathan Blow, like, we're probably agreeing on a lot of things. Me and Jonathan Blow also disagree on a lot of things, obviously, because we're people. Like, no one's going to have the exact same opinions. If you do that, that would just be boring. Yeah, you get with this actor, or you got this behavioral thing when you have methods and such. Like, yeah. Big new problem. And what trips me up about methods in Odin and other C derivatives is exactly how to pass around and organize code around structs. Well, the thing is, you just literally don't even think about it as objects. You just pass around data. Like, it's data, and the functions operate on the data, so they transform it into the forms of data. It's that dumb. Like, this is one of those things, when you do the imperative procedural approach to programming, you dumb things down. Like, you get the, oh, it's this dumb, is it? And I'm like, yeah, you stop trying to do these hierarchies and object classes and all that crap and just do the dumb thing. And guess what? Objects may naturally pop out of this, but you didn't start with objects. You just got them eventually. And that's the thing. Yeah, I don't watch football. I don't really watch sports in general, but not because I'm not getting to that topic. That's just a bit weird because it's complicated. But yeah, hello and welcome to the chat. Now we're getting to 123 viewers currently at this time of recording and viewing. 123. Right, so when it comes to unified function call syntax in Odin, we have a thing on the FAQ, and people ask what this, and like, where's the unification of this in Odin? Like, it doesn't even make any sense. What people mean by that is they don't understand the word unified in that statement. And they just kind of like, well, I can do this. I'm like, but where's the unification in Odin? Odin doesn't have methods. And it's just one of those, you step through and you go, oh yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So yeah. Right, I'm going to think I'm finished now in about 2 minutes. If anyone got any more questions, please ask them. Because I'm going to go to bed in a few minutes. Like, literally, like, a couple of minutes. So I'm just eating a cracker on its own. Without cheese. No. I'm cheeseless. No. I'll probably have the tilde backend, TB backend before Odin 1.0. The thing is about 1.0, you got to write a spec. That's kind of the argument here. I've got to write a spec. The core library has to be finalized effectively, and that's about it. But like the language effectively Odin is about done, right? That like the only thing I'm still considering is inline assembly. And that is more of an extension. That's not more like I'm going to drastically change the semantics of everything. I'm like, no, it's done effectively. Like, there's a few things we're going to change here and there. It might break things, but like minor things, like, oh, we're doing the build tag syntax is going to change. Wow. Like, it's tiny. Using is going to be there. We're not changing the keywords. There's no point changing them, as weird as they are. Okay, so cross-compilation. So cross-compilation is already a thing in Odin. The thing which people get confused about is it's cross-linking. And cross-linking is actually a non-trivial thing to do. So the Zig compiler, which is using a language, for example, has been trying to do really good cross-linking for its stuff. And the way it does, but the thing is, it's not really cross-linking. It's cross-linking for multiple multiple Linux targets, and maybe even like Mac targets. But when you come to cross-linking on Windows, that's where things start to fail, right? Because you don't want to build like on Linux and then build it for Windows. Effectively, you need the full-on Visual Studio toolchain to do this. Like, not say like Visual Studio itself, like the MSVC build tools, right? And people go like, what we could, if you just do a C, you could just use them in GW. They're meant to be ABI compatible. Like, they're not. They're really not ABI compatible in practice. They're meant to be. They're not. But it's just more of a, you have to be very careful. That makes any sense. Does Odin have C-style pointers? I'm not sure what that question means. We don't have pointer arithmetic, but we do have multi-pointers, which are a better way of doing things in general. And pointer arithmetic isn't really needed in general in Odin because we have slices. How did you go from physics to programming to engine development? So I've done programming since I was about like 10 or 11 years old. I became a physicist and then kind of quit physics because of reasons, and then became just a full-time programmer. I haven't stopped engine development. I'm not really doing. I'm just do that for fun. Like, again, it's not ever it come from one progression to another. It's more of a I do all of them at the same time. There's no real transition. It's the same thing. Jolt bindings. I'm not going to have Jolt in vendor because Jolt was a bit big, but someone's probably already done Jolt bindings for Odin already. Probably. I don't know. Specs are not fun to write. I hate writing things. So if you want to write it, I wouldn't recommend it, but whatever. You dream of being a programmer with really good math understanding. I'm like, well, just try and do good math understanding regardless of being a programmer of it. Is there a hope that post-C languages with slice type could pass them Some kind of common interface step one up? No. So the problem with C and foreign function interface, you have two conventions. You're going to have to do, is it pointer length or length pointer? And then you get into that problem where is it going to be passed separately or that way around? And yet it just, things get confusing. So you can't really easily have a well-defined. You could always do it, but then it just becomes annotation hell. So it's better to just have the definition, then wrap it to get around it, if that makes any sense. iOS will be supported for most definitely. I think we're not even far off iOS development. Like, people have already done it. It's just that we don't support the linking options, like the default linking options to make it like seamless. We do support the build options currently for iOS. It's just not the linking options, which is where people think we haven't done it yet. Yeah, cross compilation is a complicated thing. It's not cross compilation, it's cross linking is the problem. And it may be a Linux thing, but my issue with the Linux thing is you just don't do cross compilation for Linux. You just, or sorry, cross linking with Linux. You try and make everything like statically linked. Don't try and do dynamic linking, and then yeah, there's your problem solved. Odin works with, when you say consoles, you mean game consoles? Well, I know some people have worked on the Switch already, by the way, and the PlayStation 5. But I've never used either of those platforms, and they're not going to be the easiest thing in the world to work with, but they're going to probably not be difficult. Like, we support the architectures that they work on, like, which is AMD 64 and ARM 64, obviously. So there's that. Extern Zig thing, yeah, we have the foreign import stuff, which is, in my opinion, superior, because it allows you to do static linking as well and specify multiple different fields. It also have like the foreign blocks, which allow you to have like the different attributes like link prefix, the default calling convention, the links, like all that wonderful stuff, right? So much more versatile, and means you don't even need a build system when you need things, which is one of those things like I wanted to minimize this idea of a build system in the first place. Most of the build system is just specifying the linking flags. So if you do it in the language itself, well done, you've got rid of it. I probably should have gone to bed now about 4 minutes ago, but whatever. Just asking questions here. This is where people, the audience, you're getting very good in audience engagement here. Do I know CMKR? I have no idea what that means. I might do, but I don't know. I don't know. If you want to build a game engine with Odin, does it require building my own engine also? Yes. So there are probably game engines people have written already, but like when you make games, don't try and make game engines, make games. The engine will fall out, right? It's actually simpler than you think to make a game. People think you need an engine. I'm like, no, you just need something to be able to do the drawing, the input handling, maybe the audio stuff as well. And you'll be there and up and like really running within a few hours, literally hours. Game engines are more advanced tools which they've got an idea about how your game should be structured already. And to be honest with you, I never use game engines because it's like I want to do something different which won't really fit well with a game engine. So just write the code and be learning it. SDL3 bindings will be planned. We'll have an SDL3 package, but it's not released yet, so we're not going to bother. CMRK is CMake, but without CMake the language. I'm like, I don't know what that is still yet, but I don't want to deal with it. Sorry. Again, don't make games, make game. Don't make games, make game engines. No. Make games, not game engines, man, guys. Come on. Don't do ECS, please. Please don't do ECS ever. It's never for pretty much anyone who's asking, should I use ECS? Pretty much every single person without exception, the answer is no. If you're asking that question, you don't need it, ever. If you know you need it, you won't ask the question. It's one of those kind of situations. But again, when we have, like, if I do like gordon2d, you should be able to have something working, which is very, how do I put this? You should be able to make a game with it at least. And it work on the web browser automatically, right? So, unless anyone's got any more questions in the next 30 seconds, I'm watching my watch right now. I'll be going to bed. So, Qt binding and vendor, no. We're not bothering with that. I hate Qt, so why bother? Right, any more questions? I've got literally the next 10 seconds-ish. Any more? Any more? Right, I think we're about done. So, thank you very much for all tuning in. We've clearly had this beauty here on the right-hand side, but I'm going to go bed now because I've been streaming for nearly 3 hours and I am absolutely shattered. So, goodbye, and thank you very much for tuning in. An absolute pleasure, and I hope you enjoyed this stream as well. So, goodbye, everybody. And also, have fun.